Howdy, tabletop RPG fans. Thank you for supporting this channel. I'm Wranglemeat, Grand Poobah of Game Design, and this Reviews Day topic is about the Risus RPG. Risus the Anything RPG, created by S. John Ross in 1993. I probably didn't find out about it until the early days of the internet, maybe even as late as 1998. But I found it on the Cumberland Games website, along with a number of useful utilities and resources like fonts and things like that gamers might use. I instantly fell in love with Risus because it was a very simple, very straightforward RPG that had a lot of emphasis on role playing and some ingenious game mechanics. The idea of the Risus RPG is that it is a game that you play with cliches. So you, in this example, in the rule set here, character creation, Grofnar the Vangsson, the Viking, has cliches Viking 4, Gambler 3, Womanizer 2, and Poet 1, fitting his character description, which is tall, blonde, and grinning, likes to drink and fight, and drink and chase Viking women and fight and sail the high seas and raid, wants to write great sagas about himself. The idea is that most of the time, this character is going to be using the Viking skill, which is ranked at 4. Occasionally, when they get into a situation where they might be gambling with somebody or role playing in a situation where they're being hyper competitive with another player, they might choose to gamble. If they're trying to impress or seduce a woman, they might use the womanizer skill. And rarely, if ever, he might actually recall a piece of poetry that's appropriate to a situation and win the day with that. The idea of all of this is that as the character progresses, as the character takes damage or incurs the stamina of combat and adventure, their cliches are going to weaken, and that is the way that the game system works. It is a system of cliches. Some of them are not necessarily appropriate for the situation, and then how you role play that, and then how it works. They have examples here of using those cliches to engage in simple mechanics of things like number 5 is a cinch, 10 is a challenge for a professional, 15 is a heroic challenge, 20 you're a master, and 30 you got to be kidding, this is superhuman difficulty. These are very much equivalent to difficulty levels or difficulty challenges in other games. The idea of the combat system, and I love the fact that the combat system here is very replete in its description of things like arguments, horse racing, dogfights, astral psychic duels, wizard duels, dueling banjos, seduction, courtroom antics, and actual regular combat. In those cases, you're opposing your dice rolls against somebody else's dice rolls based on how many rank you have in a particular cliche. And when you lose, you're losing a die from that ability's chance to be able to work again the next time. It turns out that some cliches are, in fact, inappropriate to be used. You wouldn't necessarily use hairdressing necessary for combat. But if you're a clever role player and you figure out a way that you notice that one of the encounters has a terrible haircut, you might be able to bluff your way out of a combat situation by employing your hairdressing cliche instead of a combat cliche and overcome your opponents that way. including being able to say that you recognize that the person's hair keeps getting in their eyes during the combat, and so you actually make it more difficult for them to continue to fight in the conflict by placing them in situations that their hair keeps getting in front of their face. So the rules also incorporate teaming up, so you can actually work together. It treats hordes of things like insects and rats and snakes as grunt squads, which is a way to combine several enemy into one enemy for the purposes of combat and bookkeeping. And it has the idea of these single action conflicts. Let's say that you are both reaching for the magical item and one of you's got to win. Well, that's an opposed conflict, but you're not going to continuously roll that. So it's who's going to get there first, and the game master has the ability to say that he can choose a target number or combat, single action combat, or any number of ways to resolve that. And the last page simply includes some advanced options, things like lucky shots, which are turning one of your cliche points into the chance to re-roll some rolls, to hooks and tails, pumps, so you can pump up the dice in something in a unique situation, character advancement, and lastly, it includes credits from games that he was inspired by when he wrote these, or editions that he felt like particularly bent in the direction of these high role-playing value, low simulation value style role-playing games, including Ghostbusters, DC Heroes, GURPS, Twerps, Fudge, Tunnels and Trolls, Over the Edge, and Dragon Quest. Risus is in good company. It's been around now for over 20 years, and certainly this is a very interesting role-playing game to play, and certainly gets silly and fun very quickly as players progress through the story system. This is the Risus RPG character sheet. It has space for the character name, player name, and notes, primary cliche, and all the other cliches for that character, notes about them, tools of the trade, and just a lot of other information that pertains to that character. Space for the character's portrait, things about its personality, avoids discussing, can't get enough, enjoys company of, and lots of other character trait, helping define and give you a background of that character. Anything about possessions and other cliches or specials, things like sidekicks, or things that you used one of your cliche points on, but not necessarily applies to a particular character skill that would be part of your cliches. This episode is brought to you by Kaboomkin, the smaller, faster, funnier RPG of cartoon, fairy tale, post-apocalypse mayhem. It's time to blow stuff up. Get it now at www.kaboomkin.com. Thank you all for watching this episode. Hit like, subscribe, or ring the bell, or Booger will get you. If you want to see more videos like this, go to hopspush.com and buy an RPG or t-shirt. Do good, annoy evil, and bye-bye.